Alright, this is a 2007 Ford F-150. It's got the bearing with the rotor with the bearing built into it. And the driver said this thing was smoking. You can tell how there's a lot of red dust on the rotor, and the rotor is blued. It's really, really dark, and it smells like brake clutch material, typical overheating of the brakes. But he told me that the driver today told me that they had just put a new bearing. This thing was roaring, and they put a bearing on it here just recently. And that's a shiny new nut like you get from aftermarket, because the Fords are kind of a dull gray. That's a real shiny gray. But until I got the caliper off of it, I thought the caliper was bound up. It cooked the boots on the caliper right there, and the caliper's pretty rough shape. But this thing got so hot that it bubbled the paint up on the pads. But this rotor, you cannot hardly turn it. And it's because the bearing, there's no grease coming out of the bearing. And it's a sealed unit, so typically you don't see that. But what we do have is a nut that was put on too tight. Somebody ran it up on there with the impact and left it. They didn't adjust it, and they didn't torque it. So it overheated the rotor, and here we are with a bearing that's too tight, ruined the races, overheated it, and cooked the brakes on this right hand side. So just want to let you guys know that these things need to be torqued. They need to be adjusted just like you would any other bearing, because you can put them on too tight. After you run them up on there with an impact, you need to, if that's what you're going to do, you need to spin it, make sure it spins free and there's no play side to side. If it's too tight, back off on it. That has a nylon lock nut on it, and then it has a keeper on there with a cotter pin also, so it's not going to go anywhere. Anyway, thank you.